We all know about Mount Rushmore, mostly because of the president. But today, I'm going to do a little bit something different. I will be talking about my Mount Rushmores, especially from Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, sitcoms, and PBS Kids. And if you're going to ask about Disney, this is not really relevant at the moment. But yeah, I'm just about to express my opinions about what are my four Mount Rushmores for these, subjects and everything else. But yeah, first up, we got Cartoon Network. First up in the list, Regular Show. One of the GOATs of the 2010 Cartoon Network shows. Yeah, this show was one of the best ones I watched when I was a kid. It's about a show with Mordecai Rigby and their friends Benson, Pops, Besselman, High Five Ghost, Skips, and later on would be Thomas, but turned out to be a Russian spy named Nikolai, but he was cool. But yeah, everything about Regular Show was nothing really irregular about it. It was just awesome how Mordecai Rigby and sometimes their friends would be going on these crazy adventures or just anything plot twisting or anything like that, especially with Thomas. But the stories as well was awesome in the writing. And I gotta say, during the last few seasons, there was so much like character development, especially with Rigby at least, going to college and everything. Well, not college, just graduating from high school. I'm sorry about that. And a little bit of a downside for Mr. Mordecai over here because, again, with his, girl problems and everything. But, in the finale, I'm just glad that he, got a wife and kids, But not just them, it's just like everybody else, Skips being wise, High Five Ghost, and Musman also being really funny and awesome. Pops is being, a very kind dude. And then with Benson, as a kid, people be like, oh, he's just mean and everything. But as you grow up, Benson's actually, being reasonable, because to be fair, Mordecai and Rigby are just slackers. And, oh, man, you can learn a lot of things from Benson, actually. But, yeah. Because there are times where Benson can actually, tell, like, life stories and anything like that, learning about his past and anybody's past, especially Skips, Pops, or anybody else in that matter. That's what I like about Regular Show. It's just everything about it is amazing. Now to show number 2 for Cartoon Network. The time is Adventure Time. One of my favorites. It's so good. It's about Finn, the human, and Jake the dog, hence the theme of it. But yeah, just them going, like, similar to Regular Show, but going mysterious pathways or anything like that, learning about anything that came across. And about this show, yeah, one of the few shows in Cartoon Network to have a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. And what I also liked about this show is the backstories, especially with Ice King, Marceline, Finn, when he was a baby, and learning about what happened to his parents. Yeah. And so much more about how it went. I liked about it because I watched a few episodes from the later seasons, which was wow. And one of the things that shocked me was Marceline and Princess Bubblegum's relationship, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah, and watching the last episode, I was like, damn, this show really taught me a lot. The 4 shows I'm talking about at Cartoon Network, they taught me a lot. And yeah, Adventure Time had to be one of them. It's just a really good show, Despite it having, like, some dark episodes or, like, any moments of that matter, I really don't mind because, wow, it's just everything about it was just amazing. And now to number 3 for Cartoon Network. It's Hero Time. Yes, one of my personal favorites from Cartoon Network, Ben 10. More preferably, Ben 10 Alien Force, and later on with Ultimate Alien. Now, before I get any Ben 10 fans mad, remember, this is just my opinion. I'm sorry that I just offended you. Because yes, I do love the original. And, Omniverse, it's good here and there. And with reboots, it's good, yes. But, with Ben 10 Alien Force, Ben now a teenager, having it, the Omnitrix upgraded, and then having 10 new aliens. And later on would have, like, more aliens and then old aliens that would come back. And yeah, started the adventure again with Gwen, because she's also a teenager. And they come across their old enemy, Kevin and Levin, but later on would turn into one of their best friends and a hero as well. But what I liked about this is, like, how serious the show was. Like, how everybody basically had character development and, like, the stories as well. And how many characters we get introduced to. And, like, again, with backstories, because there was a time we didn't know where Grandpa Max was until, like, later episodes. But dang, this show had a lot of serious moments, their dark moments, and again, learning about some people passes, like especially with Kevin's dad and like his backstory, and it's like everything about this show was, you know, creative. Like especially the villains they brought away, like old ones or new ones. I just like this one particularly because again, it's just serious. I just like it because comparing this to Omniverse is like child, a child show. Well, Benton Alien Force was too, but this is a more serious version of the Benton Omniverse because this is goofy in a way. But if you're watching this, any Ben 10 fans or like ones that want to watch Ben 10 in the future, I recommend Ben 10 Alien Force and Ultimate Alien. I wouldn't regret it. It's one of the best. And now to the last one for Cartoon Network. Not just Gumball, that's amazing. This whole show was amazing. Yeah, Gumball, his brother Darwin, their sister Anais, their parents Nicole and Richard Watterson, and the friends and other characters they made all the way. This show was extreme to the max, especially like funny moments, anything like that. And having a lot of plot twists, especially going to season 2 and season 3, especially learning about Gumball's real name, the revealing of Penny's like shell, basically what she really is, and more crazy stuff. Like yeah, and what I learned from what we when I did the station presentation with Fresh, Mastermind, and Christian, that the creator basically took inspiration from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which was pretty good. Yeah, and everything about it was wow, and especially the last season, especially the finale that left on a cliffhanger. But thankfully, we got it last year. We got a Gumball Chronicle show, and either this year or next year we're getting a Amazing World Gumball movie. But yeah, everything about it is crazy, similar to Adventure Time and Regular Show, going on crazy adventures and learning more stuff about Elmore. But yeah, man. But yeah, that was my Mount Rushmore of Cartoon Network. Yes, Regular Show, Adventure Time, Ben 10 Alien Force, and The Maze World Gumball. Now, moving to Nickelodeon. Are you ready for the first one of Nickelodeon? Of course, the first one has to be SpongeBob SquarePants. Come on, everybody as a kid has to watch SpongeBob. This has to be one of the GOATs. Well, the early seasons, of course. The later seasons, I can't really say because how, it went shitty, especially with the animation and everything. But yeah, the early seasons, the specials, the movies, the merchandise I would see as a kid, it was amazing. Like, especially in the Express Kick Charge, like we do like sometimes make, SpongeBob references or episodes. Because yeah, SpongeBob is like one of those shows from Nickelodeon that everybody has watched all the episodes, but some of them. Because I know like they have their opinion about the later seasons. Everything about the show I owe it to because if you're like a kid in elementary school and lunch or like you have spare time in the classroom, we just be talking about SpongeBob or something like that. I just think Tom Kenny, the genius behind SpongeBob, Clancy Brown as Mr. Krabs, Bill Fricabaki as Patrick Star, Roger Bumpus as Squidward, Caroline Lawrence as Sandy, and of course Doug Lawrence as Plankton, and many more stars that have appeared in SpongeBob and ones that sadly passed away. But truly an honor to be part of this great show. You know what? This really takes me back. Takes me back because next up is number 2 of Nickelodeon. He's a phantom. Yes, my all-time favorite show from Nickelodeon. Top 1 for me, of course, Danny Phantom. This show really did a lot for me, especially during my hardest times, or like, especially during quarantine when, of course with online school, I really can't see my friends all that much. But when I got to rewatch Danny Phantom back in 2020, it was such a good relief because just going back to when I used to watch the show as a kid, when he used to air episodes of Nickelodeon or Nicktoons and all that, this show had a lot of potential, ran for 3 seasons, and it was especially the great stories they had, the writing, especially the villains they had. Like, yeah, of course, from Express Kick Charge, I used to have a Skulker profile picture with Amber McLean. There was also Technus, the Box Ghost, the Lunch Lady Ghost, and anything like that. And they also had great, guest stars, especially, speaking of guest stars, Yes, recipes to Martin Mull, who sadly passed away during the 27th of June. He truly played one of the best villains of all time, Vlad Plasmius, Danny's main, enemy of the show. But yeah, I also like to thank, David Kaufman for voicing Danny Phantom himself. It's just so cool to play, a 14-year-old boy during the age he was in, and, just playing Danny as, like, similar to, like, Spider-Man in a way, because, yeah, funny, because 2020, because Danny was 14 at the time, I was 14 when I was watching the show, so I was like, I feel like Danny in any kind of way. That's why it's, like, my top favorite show, because it's just that amazing. And to any Danny Phantom fan, you would agree, especially that later live action movie we might get here and there. But yeah, if you haven't watched all like the seasons or episodes of Danny Phantom, I would recommend it. It's such a great show. And now, to number 3. The Adventures of Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius, another classic one from Nickelodeon. I gotta say, everything about a boy just being a genius, similar to Dexter's Laboratory, was amazing. Although, Jimmy does get mistreated here and there from like his friends, bullies, sometimes his parents here and there if they don't like the idea. But of course, he could always trust his dog Goddard. And then everything about the show was, especially the theme song from season 1 to 3, this changing it up, especially showing the events of previous episodes or like future episodes. That's what I liked. And yeah, just anything like, especially when they're counting villains, anything like that. It's mostly because of Jimmy's adventures that I liked about this show in general. But it was sad that it had to come to an end, especially during like the last Power Hour of Jimmy and Timmy Power Hour 3. But I still praise it to this day because it was one of the OGs. Like, it'd be like 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning, back in, 2016, 15, or 14. It'll just be airing. I'll just have it recording. And then when I wake up, I just watch it before going to school or like coming after school and everything like that. But yeah, I really didn't mind Planet Sheen all that much. The theme song was good. But yeah, Jimmy Neutron, you're one of the best ones. And now, to the last one from Nickelodeon. Cosmo, Wanda, I wish this was my last one for Nickelodeon. Yes, The Fairly Odd Parents. A show about Timmy Turner getting the godparents of Cosmo and Wanda, and later on Poof. I know despite the later seasons of Fairly Odd Parents because of the animation and the additions of Sparky and Chloe, I didn't really mind Sparky. Chloe, I didn't mind a little bit, but what was more important was the early season. Similar to SpongeBob, the early season, the movies and specials I liked about it. This Timmy, going crazy with his wishes. It could be good, bad, but mostly bad in a way. But yeah, everything about this show I also liked because I remember like it would be Saturday and Sunday. It'll be coming on Nickelodeon on like 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock. The early episodes of Fairly Odd Parents that I liked. Everything about the show was genius. It's one of the OGs. And funny enough, with all 4 of these shows, and I'm sorry I forgot to mention this about Cartoon Network. Yeah, Cartoon Network with Adventure Time, Regular Show, Ben 10, and the Minnesota Gumball, they had their own, car racing game called Touch and Go. And then, yeah, similar to like these characters, with Timmy, Danny, SpongeBob, and Jimmy. That's why I choose these ones as my main 4 for Mount Rushmore, because how awesome it came with the games as well. But now, let's make it more kid-friendly and go to PBS Kids. Yes, the first one, the GOAT of this list, Curious George. And I will say this, again, this is my opinion. I prefer this over the movies, because Curious George, the show, it had so much to bring. Like, what George was curious about every day, like, how to make this or that. And just, being, again, curious about, like, how things work, especially going to different places. And, like, yeah, him and the man with the yellow head, aka Ted, going back and forth with the city and the farmhouse and everything else. And the crazy adventures he would have with any of his friends, companions, anything like that. That's why I consider the GOAT, and I think Frank Welker, the voice, Curious George himself, like, this crazy monkey dude. Every time I would come home from school, this is like one of the first things I watched from PBS Kids, because how much good it was, man. Just like taking that back, like, oh, the memories coming back, like every episode I watch here and there, and I'm still surprised to this day it's going on, and I'm proud of it, because Curious George, you are the GOAT. Technically, you're a monkey, but you are the GOAT. I'm looking for Sid. Oh wait, there he is with his friends and teacher. Yes, Sid the Science Kid, one of my all-time favorites as well from PBS Kids. I would mostly watch this at home or at school, especially in science class. That along with Bill Nye and the Science Guy or the Magic School Bus. But yeah, during elementary school, just watching Sid the Science Kid and learning more and having fun at the same time, and Sid just being awesome with his friends and learning much more, and then coming home and then telling his parents, his grandma, anybody else at home how school was and everything and what lesson he learned, and actually doing it himself. And the fact is, this is provided by the Jim Henson Company, Muppets and everything else. It was truly amazing to find that out. But yeah, just give it a thought. If you haven't watched Sid the Science Kid, I recommend it because you can learn a lot and have fun at the same time. That's what I learned from this show. Truly one of the best ones. Dinosaur train, dinosaur train, roar, dinosaur train, roar, dinosaur train. One of the main reasons why I love dinosaurs today, it was this, Dino Jurassic Park, and Power Rangers is why I have my love for dinosaurs today. Yes, the show about Buddy, the Tyrannosaurus Rex, the only one in his family, alongside with pterodactyls, Tiny, Shiny, and Dawn, and their parents, Mr. and Mrs. Pterodactyl. And this, every day going to the dinosaur train, meeting up with the conductor, and everything about it just going on different, pathways or anything like that, and meeting new dinosaurs every day. And at the end of the episode, there will be a guy that'll be like explaining the dinosaurs, like what they're mostly known for, what kind of food they eat, their weaknesses, or like what special abilities they have. That's what I liked about the show, just learning. And again, this is one of the many shows to be provided by the Jim Henson company. And what I was mostly shocked about when I was learning about this like a few years ago, this is created by the same creator that made Hey Arnold, Craig Bartlett. Yes. And just rewatching some of the episodes when I was a kid, it was truly one of the best ones. Who's got the power? Super Y. Yes. A story, like a show about Super Y, aka Wyatt, along with friends Little Red Riding Hood, Littlest Pig, and Princess P, and later in the seasons would be his dog Wolfster. Yeah, the story about Wyatt just being in a kid's library saying, hey, come over here and everything, and showing where he lives in the storybook village. And it's again, it's one of those shows that taught me a lot to spelling or anything here and there about just books in general as well, and what can you mostly learn about words at that moment, especially with Super Y. And fun fact, I actually used to have a plushie of Y when I was a kid. I don't have it anymore, sadly. But I would one time I brought it at school, and my friend was like, "What is that?" It's Super Y. Man, this show really brought a lot to me. And yeah, I know Christian's also a fan of this as well. Shout out to him. And yeah, that's basically it for PBS Kids. And now to the big boy stuff, sitcoms. Before I talk about our first one in our list for sitcoms, Everybody Loves Raymond. Now with this list for sitcoms from Mount Rushmore, there are a ton of sitcoms I watched in the past and currently today, but I chose the 4 best ones in my opinion when I was growing up. And quick shout out to my mom and dad for mostly getting introduced to me for sitcoms. I truly, thank them and love them for doing that for me, because I was a kid and I'd just be watching what they'd be watching. And one of that will be Everybody Loves Raymond. This was one of my mom's favorite shows back then. And yeah, Everybody Loves Raymond, about a sports writer named Ray Barone and his wife Deborah, and they have 3 kids, of course. And the crazy part is that his parents live across the street, Frank and Marie, and for the first couple of seasons, also his older brother Robert. And yeah, this is a crazy family, just drama or anything, funny moments. Especially that funny moments coming from Ray or Robert, because of their rivalry as brothers, of course. Oh hey Robert, is this about me, Raymond? I can't do a Brad Garrett impression. My friend Gabe Nathan could do a good Brad Garrett impression. We've done it here. It's pretty awesome. But going back to Everybody Loves Raymond. Yeah, if you give it a shot, if you want to watch sitcoms in the future, I'll give Everybody Loves Raymond a shot for anybody that wants to watch it. It's truly a golden masterpiece, especially going towards the seasons of how it ended. The last episode was really wow. It was really sad at the beginning a little bit, but learning about what happened to Ray, especially in surgery, and then Marie didn't know until Frank told her. But yeah, everything about the show I owe it to, especially their funny ass jokes. And now to number 2 of our sitcoms. Saskia, it's George Lopez, the show from 2002 that ended at 2007. This is one of the best masterpieces along with Everybody Loves Raymond. It's about a show about George Lopez, his wife Angie, their 2 kids, Carmen and Max, his mother Benny, and his best friend Ernie. And sometimes we see Angie's dad, Vic, yes. And this basically, showing how George Lopez lives his life as a factory manager. He works at a place where they make plane parts and everything. But there's more to that. There's also funny moments, plot twists, especially finding out more about George Lopez's family members, like finding out his dad's not really dead, finding out he had a sister the whole time. And everything else about the show was crazy, especially the later seasons when everybody's, having more character development, especially Max, the son of the family. But yeah, the ending of the finale was like, okay, now George is the official boss of the company because originally they wanted to move the company to Mexico, but George didn't like that. So basically, all of them did a rally, and eventually he won. I like this show because it had a lot of funny episodes here and there, and I know there was a George Lopez show called Lopez in 2017, and there's one called Lopez versus Lopez since last year, but this is the OG, this is the GOAT. I love it. And now to number 3. That was my impression of replicating a harmonica. Can't really do it, but at least I tried my best. So yes, Roseanne. One of the best shows my mom showed me as a kid. And yeah, it's about a show about Roseanne, her husband Dan, and their 3 kids, Becky, Darlene, and DJ. And yeah, just crazy about the show, how an average white family would live, especially with Roseanne's, sister, Jackie, and with many of their friends especially. The first couple of seasons were like, yeah, this is really great. And then when the later seasons, when they became rich, I was like, whoa. But that kind of got debunked in the last episode when Roseanne was writing her stories, because throughout the show, Roseanne always wanted to be a writer, and I felt good for her. Like, yeah, this is like the plot twist of like the finale. I'm not gonna say that much. It was like, wow. But yeah, I also think the show because this was one of my introductions to like John Goodman, who played Dan Connor. Yeah, one of the best sitcom dads at the time, and everything about the show. If you ever give it a chance, I would recommend it because it's really funny. And yeah, it's one of those shows I use jokes from, especially from my parents. I know there was also a revival called The Connors back in 2018. It was Roseanne then Connors. I want to get too much into it, but yeah, it's one of my favorites as a kid. And now to the final part. The last one, but truly not one of the worst ones. Clearly, it's one of the best one of all time. My Wife and Kids. The show started with Damon Wayans, and yeah, he plays a character named Michael Kyle with his wife Jay and his 3 kids, Junior, Claire, and Katie. Now, this is one of the most black sitcoms I've ever watched. I'm sorry if I said it like that, but it's really one of the best ones because back then, it was My Wife and Kids competing with The Bernie Mac Show. Listen, I have no problem with The Bernie Mac Show, but My Wife and Kids had more comedy to it and more, like, shenanigans, I would say. Everything about it, especially, yes, again, with the writing and, like, the character development, especially with Junior getting his own son, and like, that was a crazy story. And, like, everybody, like, getting their own boyfriends and girlfriends here and there. But I was kind of disappointed at the end of the episode, like the finale where, Jay is revealed to be pregnant, and it kind of left out on that. I was like, aw, dang. But yeah, out of all the Wayne brothers, Damon was my favorite. You could fight me in the comments. He's just my all-time favorite one because he's the most funniest because of My Wife and Kids. And I'm so surprised about his son, Damon Wayans Jr., who you may know as Wasabi from Big Hero 6. It's just a cool family that has worked out. All the kids from the Wayans family has, like, done like a lot of work, live action, anything like that, shows, movies. They all do awesome, but truly, My Wife Kids was one of the best ones, from my opinion. And that is the end of the list, but I do hope we'll have one more message. And those were my Mount Rushmores for Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, sitcoms, and PBS Kids. If you made it this far to the video, I really appreciate it. You guys did really awesome. I know it was a little bit too long here and there, and that's what she said, but, just expressing my opinions about truly the best ones for Mount Rushmore for each network, at least. That's the word I wanted to use earlier, network. And again, if you're asking about Disney, again, Disney, in my opinion, it has good shows, cartoons, movies, but in my opinion, it really doesn't deserve one because compared that to Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon, they had better cartoons. And with Nickelodeon, it had better sitcoms, to be fair. I'm so sorry if you get offended in the comments. This is my opinions. And yeah, speaking of opinions, if you guys have any of your guys' Mount Rushmores in the comments, you could just let me know, and I'll just see how I react, and like saying, oh, that's pretty interesting, yeah, and all that. But yeah, oh yeah, by the way, I'll show you the pictures of the Cartoon Network game I was talking about along with the Nickelodeon game. Here you go. Yep, there they are. And yeah, if you guys love this video and if you want to see a part 2 of this, probably, just let me know in the comments as well. And yeah, lastly, what else can I say? Well, that's pretty much it, and hope y'all have a good night. Bye bye.